Episode 4 of the High Ticket Legacy podcast. We're back with another fire episode, and as always, I'm joined alongside myself by James to bring another powerful conversation. This week, we've got an incredible guest, no other than Jake. You can see on camera there, a highly successful business owner who's built an amazing life by leveraging the online space. But that's just one side of his journey. Anyone who follows Jake or knows him or is yet to learn about him, Jake's also deeply passionate about holistic health and well-being. And in this episode, we're diving deep into both. His business success, his mindset growth, and prioritizing health plays a massive role in his life. You do not want to miss this one. Get ready for an inspiring conversation packed with value and insights and game-changing advice. Jake, super honored to have you here, man.
Wow, what an intro. Can I get that in writing, please? That was unbelievable.
Not a problem. So something we want to do with all our guests, Jake, and on previous podcasts is we want to take you right back to the start. We want to know your life story in a nutshell. Paint the picture of who Jake is, how he's ended up being as successful as he is today, and living the life on his terms, as we say in our business. So, in your own words, man, make it shine.
Thank you so much. I really just wanted to say congratulations to you guys, for celebrating you, honoring you both, stepping into this space and creating this amazing podcast and creating this facilitating this beautiful space for everyone like myself to come in, share wisdom. And for those that are listening, it takes a lot of courage to do this kind of thing. And I'm just honoring you guys in this moment before I dive in. So congrats to you both.
Appreciate it, man.
Of course, of course. So it's funny actually because I always say this and it's very cliche, and I'm sure lots of people say it, and I won't be the first and I won't be the last, but the man that you see today is not the man that I've always been. And that's the beautiful thing about journeying, about personal development, and about growth, really. So I'm going to take you guys back a little bit to high school and my upbringing. I'm the youngest I've got two siblings. So I'm youngest of three, two older sisters. Parents got divorced when I was 4 years old. So family life, home life wasn't exactly the most usual in the sense that there wasn't that strong family unit. Dad wasn't really so present emotionally. He was physically there. He's still alive. He's still with us, but emotionally wasn't really there. So being raised by mum and two sisters and my grandma, both my grandparents died when I was young or before I was born. So there was no male role model in my life. So I grew up very feminine. I grew up very in touch with my emotions. I grew up very not understanding how the male works in society, how the masculine is meant to be. And I was very shy because I wasn't told to have a voice. I was actually so shy that I always say the story. In school when you know the register off by heart, right? You know who's before you and you know who's after you because you know when you're meant to be listening. So you go, oh yes, miss, present or whatever it is. I used to memorize the three people before me because I would be so scared to just say yes, miss. So I'd blush, I'd get panicky, I'd get sweaty just to actually say present, just to actually acknowledge my own presence in school. That would freak me out. And what's wild is going through high school, we didn't grow up with very much money. We didn't grow up compared to the society and the community that I was in, who was quite a wealthy and abundant society. I was blessed to get a scholarship to go to a very good grammar school. So I'm surrounded by very wealthy kids, and I remember on year seven, day one of high school, everyone's going around and you do the whole, what does your parents do? Tell us about yourself, go around the class. And I'm thinking, fuck, how am I going to say this? And the guy next to me, I'll never forget, his name was Ravi. He comes in and he's got a tailor-made suit with the embroidered emblem of the school. And I'm thinking, oh my God, who is this geezer? And he goes, my dad owns a strip of hotels on the Dubai beachfront. And I'm just like, what? Are you joking? I've got to go against that. And then I'm like, yeah, my dad's a salesman. He sells curtains on the market. So my mum's a painter, decorator, artist. Next. And you just have this feeling of not being adequate. And so much of that comes from putting your own worth, the self-worth, based on the external, based on what others think. And it no longer becomes the self-worth, it becomes the external worth of if I get laughs, then I'm funny. If I get smiles, then people like me. If I have friends, then I'm likable. And that's how I grew up. So I was a good kid. I was a normal kid. I was a good kid. I wasn't a bad kid. I was doing what I did, video games, girls, the standard thing. But I grew up with an understanding of I need to fit in. I need to be a people pleaser. I need to make sure that I'm likable because I didn't have that strong father figure who would tell me, wow, you're enough, Jake. Wow, you're amazing. Let's do this. Let's do that. I didn't have that base inside of myself. There's a bit of a void. This transpired in a very unique way. So I was likable, I was sociable, I was funny, I was good at sports, but not good enough to make the team. So there was always that kind of, I was never a captain, I was never anything, but I was like the substitute who would come on in the 85th minute. I'm like, oh, bless him, he's been stood in the piss wet rain all Sunday. And I'm like, manager, can I come on? Can I come on? And that was always like my experience growing up in school. And as I say, I enjoyed school, but there was a lot of deep healing that needed to be done growing into manhood. So that was childhood, going into teenage, going into manhood. Then at the age of 18, I went on a trip that changed my life in a very unique way, but didn't quite bring me back to the business, but brought me to a newfound sense of understanding. So I'm Jewish by birth, and I went on a Jewish education trip to Poland, Holocaust education, and I was stood there and I was at one of the death camps, and I was like, okay, wow, this is wild. Even though I don't keep any of these laws or any of these things, I barely even claim that I'm Jewish, I would have been killed, and I don't even know what I would have been killed because of. So I dived into a bit of a journey into my heritage and my culture. And I actually went to the Middle East, I went to Israel, and I studied in Jerusalem for 2 years, learning about spirituality, about esoteric wisdom, the infamous Kabbalah that people always like to share on social media and think they're experts in, really diving into some of these texts and the esoteric world, and also started to delve into religion. And I found myself getting more and more into it because as a kid who grew up without a father, being present emotionally, as I say, my dad was there. He wasn't necessarily like beating me or anything like that, but emotionally there was that huge void. All of a sudden, God comes in, and I'm like, oh, this is the ultimate father. And it filled that void in a way that didn't make sense to me at the time, but it was enough for me at the time to be like, I'm all in. And I'm a guy, as you can see, quite passionate. So I go all in with things. And I went all in. And I went from being a guy who was the Jewish kid introducing all the other Jews to bacon and to pork. And I loved my bacon butties, my pork sausages, and I never kept any laws. Fast forward to 18, which is meant to be going to university, getting with girls and all these things. I'm in the old city of Jerusalem, sat with loads of rabbis learning about esoteric wisdom from 2,500 years ago. Like, what a shift. And I dived into it and I became religious. I lived life as an Orthodox Jew. I got married at 22, a little bit of pretext as well. I was a virgin till marriage, right? So how crazy is that? I went from living my life. I was good with the girls, but I always had this spiritual connection. I was always tapping into nature. I was always tapping into the bigger picture. And I'll tell you a funny story, guys. I was 16 years old, right? The infamous hormones are flying. I had a free house. There was a house party, and there was a girl that I really liked, and she really liked me. And we'd done bits, as you say when you're teenagers. Yeah, we'd done stuff. And it was coming up to the big moment of like, oh my God, I might actually have sex for the first time. This is it. The in-betweeners, you can think of all the things that happened. Oh my God. And we had it planned out. She was going to come back to mine. I had a free house. Amazing. And I was speaking with the boys. I think it was on the Thursday before the Saturday night party. And I just had like an epiphany, and I just said to them, like, guys, I know this is really weird, but I'm gonna regret it on Sunday. Like, I don't think I want to do it. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be amazing, but like, I just don't think I'm gonna like be happy with it. I think I'm gonna regret it. And they were just like, we were stoners back then, so we were smoking weed. And they were like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. And I was like, wow, what amazing advice. If you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. And I didn't do it. I messaged her and I was like, listen. Her name was Lucy. I was like, listen, Lucy, something's come up. You can't, I didn't say, I don't want to sleep with you. I'm not that harsh, but it was, listen, Lucy, something's come up. You can't stay over, whatever. It fizzled out and nothing happened. So I stayed a virgin till 18, and then I became religious. So obviously I'm not going to, go around sleeping with someone. And then I got married at 22, and I thought this was the beginning of the rest of my life. I was committed. I was working in a charity. I was an educator. I was going into schools, teaching high school kids all about education, about personal development, self-esteem, spirituality, some of the bigger knowledge. I was connecting to them using analogies, doing my passion. I was living what I believe to be my best life. I was married and I thought, wow, this is it. I'm 22. I've got a wife. I've got a house. This is amazing. I've got a job that I love, and everything seemed to be going well. But fast forward 6 months into the marriage, we're not really a good connection. I'm a very much introverted extrovert.
Yeah.
So I shit myself when I'm on stage, but I fucking love being on stage. I'm gonna swear, guys, just a warning. So if anyone's listening and they've got kids about, put the earmuffs in.
Crack on.
Go for it.
I love being on stage, but I shit myself beforehand. So it's that kind of courage of, I know I want to do it because I'll feel good afterwards, but in the moment I'm panicking. You know, like the kind of meme, I'm panicking, I'm going to lose my job. So it's like, that's how I am right before we go into things. But I know that it's worthwhile. And 6 months in, we weren't connecting. It became very, very toxic. But I had to push through. I'm in this religious world, I'm having these conversations. And the more I'm growing in myself, I'm 23, 24, I'm realizing that actually maybe this isn't the path for me. Maybe this isn't, and maybe this fit for me at the time, but this isn't actually where I'm going to be. And May 2020 was the month that everything changed for me, and it led me to become the man I am today. I finished my dissertation in psychology. I did a psychology and counseling degree, finished my dissertation or thesis or final piece. Ironically, it was titled The Impact of Social Media on Adolescent Men.
Wow.
Who would have, as if I'm writing the fucking stars for me to step into this space, which is wild. Um, my grandmother, unfortunately, was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer, and I was the nearest family member, and she was a huge role model for me. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I instantly moved into her house, became her primary caregiver. The relationship that I'd committed the rest of my life to at the time, I didn't go into this thinking if it's shit, I'll get divorced. I was like, I'm going to make this work. We'd done loads of stuff. It became really toxic, and I basically had to summon up the strength to say, I'm leaving. And in leaving her, I was also leaving the religious community and going on a bit of a self-discovery journey. And all of this happened whilst I'm caring for my grandmother. So I'm watching the woman who I absolutely love waste away from cancer, one of the worst diseases ever. I'm directly there. I'm cleaning her body. I'm cleaning her face and everything. I'm watching her. I'm caring for her. And I'm 24 years old, guys. It's not something that a normal 24-year-old goes through. And I didn't know how to express myself. I had never like really tapped into my emotions. So I'm smoking copious amounts of weed to just numb myself from the pain, but I knew that I had to do it. And it was in caring for my grandmother that I had the epiphany of life. That my grandmother's 90 years old. She lived an amazing life. She was a phenomenal woman, absolute legend of the highest order. And caring for her right at the very end gave me the strength to be able to tap in to myself. And I realized I'm 24 years old. I'm not going to live for other people. I'm not going to let myself be a people pleaser because we're all going to die. And for anyone that's experienced death, whether it's a family member, a pet, even got emotional from a death on TV, you understand that life is precious and you have this moment of clarity. And in that, I spoke to my partner. I said, I'm leaving. I left the religious community. My grandma passed away on June the 10th, 2020. And 2020, right, we're in lockdown. So it's not like I can go and have friends over and go to the bar and have a bit of fun and mess about and get back into my life. We're in lockdown. Everything's shut. Nothing can happen. There's no Sunday league football. You can't go to a match. You can't go to a bar. So I found myself in this pit of depression and I immersed myself in drugs, drink, and video games for about 5 months. And when I say immerse myself, I mean, I was smoking an amount I'm not going to share because it was actually ridiculous how much I was smoking, but I was high 24/7 for 5 months straight. I was drinking whiskey from the bottle at 11 a.m. and I was playing about 6 hours of Warzone. Now, yes, I got phenomenally good at Verdansk at Rebirth Island, and my KD was very good. And I probably, if I would have had the actual know-how, could have gone into streaming and could have gone into those things. And a side note, I actually used to play Call of Duty, not professionally, but competitively. I
Wow.
was involved in different clans. And for those of you that know the Sidemen, I actually used to be in a clan with Vicstar123. And I was 16. And back in the days of YouTube and Zergriz, if you know all of that, Modern Warfare 2, Quickscope, No Scope, Rust. If that means something to
Open notes.
you,
Remember that?
do you
Wow,
remember
that
that?
is a blast from the past.
So
We all went through that. We all
yeah,
went through
that was me, but on a level of like waking up at 5 a.m. to get 2 hours in before school. I was a grafter, right? And what's amazing is, and this is where we'll kind of start into the conversation of the podcast, and we'll start into this understanding of the questions, but in the depth of the depression, in the depth of this drug abuse, drink abuse, not knowing who I was, numbing my pain, it was that moment of rock bottom that I actually had the epiphany of I needed to change. So I had the first epiphany when my grandma was dying of I need to live for myself, but then I just couldn't handle it. I've got my dissertations, my education's finished, my relationship's finished, and my family's just broken apart. So naturally, I'm a human being. I didn't know how to cope. I found myself, I think it was November 2020, and I found myself high as balls, probably drunk, looking in the mirror, and I just bawled my eyes out. And I'm not ashamed to say this whatsoever because I think men do need to cry. And I bawled my eyes out, looking at myself, just being like, Jake, you are not this. You are meant for so much more. You have so much in you to give. This is not you. This is not serving you. This is not helping you. You've got to find a way out. And I started to go onto YouTube, Tony Robbins, Jordan Peterson. I started to get into fitness. I started running. Running is a huge expression because when you're angry, you can just run. You can run forever. And I
Yeah.
gave myself a target of, I've never ran a 5K, but I ran, 23 minutes. And I was like, I want to get to sub 21 before the end of the year. I did that. I started to feel accomplishments. I started to get myself out. And I saw a video that I highly recommend everyone watches. It's 6 minutes long, and it's by a motivational speaker called Les Brown. And he speaks about the Chinese bamboo tree. And I'm gonna butcher it here, so go watch the real one. But the concept is when you plant a bamboo tree, you have to water and fertilize the ground every single day to provide it the nutrients to grow. But the bamboo tree doesn't break through the ground for the first 4 years. And so you have to ask yourself, every day, am I watering something that's actually going to do anything? And then you start having people going, "Hey, you planted a bamboo tree here. There's what's going on? There's nothing here." But then in the fifth year, it grows up to 60 feet.
Wow.
So the question you ask is, does it grow 60 feet in 1 year or does it grow 60 feet in 5 years? Now, anyone with a brain understands that it's the first 4 years of nurturing and watering and fertilizing that tree that gives it the structure, the root system, the foundation, the necessary materials to grow that much in the fifth year. And that's who we are. And that hit me like a lightning bolt. I'm a bamboo tree. So I'm in this darkness. And if I nurture myself for the next few years, who knows how much I can grow? And everything shifted. My mindset was shifting. I was waking up. I was still smoking. I was still video gaming, but I was different. I had a spark. I had a fire in me. And 2 weeks after watching that video, I saw an ad online that said travel the world and earn online. It was a picture of a Volkswagen van, my favorite car, the hippie van, and that's all it was. And I thought, fuck it. What's the worst that can happen? Handed in an application. 2 weeks later, got a message from Lisa. If you don't know who Lisa is someone in our business community. She's absolutely killing it. She's an amazing woman from Wigan, of all places. I know, absolute shithole, but she was the spark out of Wigan. And sorry if you're from Wigan, but sorry if you're from Wigan. And And she changed my life, and we're going to probably discuss all about business, but that's where it started. I saw this ad, I immersed in myself. That was who I was beforehand. I was a people-pleasing, shy boy turning into a man who would follow the trend. And I went against the grain and I went for something. It didn't work out, but I had the courage from death to create my new self. And it was the death and the rebirth. The death of my grandma gave me the space to rebirth myself. And then, like a phoenix, I pulled myself out of the ashes of my own joints and created a life. And this was all in 2021, at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. Fast forward to the beginning of 2025. I've started that online business that I saw from the ad. I invested in myself. I've been working on it for the last nearly 4 years now. It's coming up to my 4 year anniversary. I've built a community, co-created a community with over 350 entrepreneurs. I've built my business to, on average, 6 figures in the annual. Certainly as of recently, obviously the first few years was building phases and completely free. I've been freedom lifestyle, laptop lifestyle for the last 2.5 years. I've traveled Southeast Asia, 2023 through to 2024. I spent 18 months of those 2 years traveling the world, building my business. I celebrated hitting a legacy rank in Japan, in Okinawa on stage. 7,000 people clapping, not just for me, obviously for everyone else on the stage, but it was for me, right? They were all clapping for me. And my life has changed massively. I actually met Lauren, my fiance now, in the business community because we were both open, both looking for a way out of the system, out of the matrix to create a life for ourselves. And we connected on values of travel, of love, of health. And I'm the healthiest I've been, the wealthiest I've been, the happiest I've been. My hair's the longest it's ever been. And I'm really just completely living my absolute best life. And I really feel that this is just the beginning. I've got so much more now still to do. And looking back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and 4.5 years ago, smoking weed in my one bedroom flat, playing video games every day, thinking, how the fuck am I going to get out of this? And like the bamboo tree on the fifth year, everything changed.
Brother,
That
that
is
is so amazing.
unreal.
Good, you want to add something there, George, first?
I was just gonna say I've literally just wrote on my desk, I am a bamboo tree. So
Mm.
that is getting stored away for some golden nuggets in future. 'Cause it's such a perfect analogy of our business model and life in general, really. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing a year can do very well, but 4 years of nurturing, like you said there, is just it's perfect and it's happening in life. Bamboo tree is a form of life. So it's so evident and it's unbelievable that you touched on that because that's gonna like you said, hit home for so many people listening. If you're listening to that, just think about what Jake said there about that bamboo tree and carry it with you throughout the day. Absolutely. James, I
I,
know we probably want to dive into some questions as well.
yeah, I just want to touch on because that was the exact thing that stood out for me. Obviously, like listening to your journey there and seeing your growth from the position that you was in and like the stuff that you experienced, but like that analogy of the bamboo tree is like, and like sometimes you can get hung up and stress over like, oh, I haven't done enough work today, or I haven't done X, Y, and Z today, and then you get like a bit overwhelmed and stressing. And it's like, well, when you've just said that analogy right there, it's like, whoa. And as Woody was saying last week, like zoom out, just see the growth, let it all come together, and it'll work, man. It'll work, and like it's so true. And like from my experience, I can sometimes hold myself up on things because I feel like I haven't done this, and this, but like just zoom out, man, relax, let it all happen. If you're putting the work in consistently to move the needle a little bit forward, then you're going places, which is great, man. But I appreciate you so much for sharing that journey, man. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Course.
and the growth there is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna dive into some questions now, and the first one is really like how can like obviously breaking free from like limiting beliefs when we are maybe starting something new in life or a new business, whatever that may be, how can like individuals or entrepreneurs rewire their thinking to move past self-doubt and take bold action?
Yeah.
Dive in.
It's a phenomenal question. And what you just said there, you said that you get hung up on a few things, you start to question yourself, you get annoyed, and the narrative changes, the shame comes in, the guilt comes in, and we negatively speak about ourselves. So there's three things really that I would say is imperative for a person to be able to rewire their thinking. And the first one, which is going to sound so counterproductive, but just hear me out, is detach from the outcome. Because if you're so focused on the outcome, you're so focused on creating the goal and achieving the goal, the only way you'll ever succeed is once the goal's accomplished. And so there's only one moment of happiness, of success.
Mm,
And so if the outcome is the only attachment, you're destined for failure. You're destined to actually not achieve the life that you live because the journey isn't the people say it's not the destination, it's the journey. And it's like bollocks. It's not the journey either. It's the person you become on the journey to the destination.
mm,
Because we could all walk the same path, but we're all going to pick out different things. Some people are going to be shuffling their feet, looking, and they're going to notice insects. They're going to notice cracks in the path. They're going to notice that they haven't tied their laces. Some people are looking up. They're going to go, "Wow, look at the clouds." Wait a minute, they're not clouds. They're chemtrails. But they're going to look around. They're going to see these things, and then someone's going to be looking forward, looking around, going, "Wow, look at us. We're a group. We're going. We're making." They're all walking the same fucking path.
Yeah.
And so it's who you become along the way. So detach from the outcome and focus on yourself. That's the first thing. The second thing is what I touched on earlier, is your self-talk. Because how you speak to yourself is an expression of the programming in which you're living. So if you speak to yourself negatively, that's an insight into what operating system you're running. Oh, you dickhead. Why have you done that? Fucking stupid idiot. So now you're running a narrative of shame, of guilt, and that you're not enough. Well, you just got a glimpse, you just got a window into actually who you are. Now, there's moments when you are an idiot, but you don't tell yourself that because imagine if you spoke to your friends how you speak to yourself, you'd have no friends. If every time your mate did something stupid, yeah, it's funny. Oh, man, why have we done that? Hey, right? That's fun and joke and lighthearted. But imagine if that's every response. Imagine if every time, James says something and Jordan, you go, you dickhead, what are you doing? You idiot. Oh, oh, oh. Eventually, James is gonna be like, that Jordan guy's a prick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Your brain is what operates the entire body system. And as a spiritual person, your brain is not you, right? Your thoughts are not you. There is this divine essence in there. Call it spark, call it soul, call it spirit, Gaia, source, Mother Nature, whatever word resonates with you, but you're more than your body, right? I want you guys to do this. Put your hand out like this. Make a fist. How have you just done that? How have you just done that?
I
You
did
don't have a
it.
clue, right? You don't have a clue. You just somehow your brain was like, yeah, my ears have heard, make a fist. I know what fist is, so make a fist.
Wow.
Clench muscles, make a fist. You don't have a fucking clue how you've done that.
Blew my mind.
Do you know what I mean? Your brain has told your body to move. But you told your brain to tell your body to move. And you can do this. You can sit and meditate. And people have the craziest thoughts, right? I'm not even going to let you into some of the thoughts I have. I'd be arrested. But if every thought that came into my head I operated on, I'd be in Guantanamo Bay 100%, right? Because we have these crazy things because it's not us. We've watched a film about terrorism. We've watched a film about craziness. We've watched a film about sci-fi. And then all of a sudden that's not us. So when we actually sit in stillness and you want to rewire your thinking, that's what you have to do. And so if you want to update your mobile phone, it doesn't add on to what's already there. It software updates. It gets rid of the old and implements the new. And I'll use a nature analogy to end this understanding. The caterpillar has to die for the butterfly to be born. But there is a limbo period of when the caterpillar has died. For those that don't know, right, a caterpillar eats leaves, nom, 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 gets really, really fat, says, I'm ready to transform. All the other caterpillars, by the way, are like, transform? This is just what it is, mate. This is just life. We just eat the leaves, bro. What are you doing? This is blessed. Why are you trying to make it difficult? Why are you being so weird, right? That's all the closed-minded mates that you've got. Then you go off and you find a nice leaf and you make yourself into a cocoon, right? You harden on the outside, you get a hard exterior. What's happening on the inside? The caterpillar is dissolving, going into some genetic goo, right? It's dead. And if any of the mates saw, fucking hell, look at Kevin, what a knobhead. He's now this, right? But inside the goo is the transformation of what's happening. And the butterfly is finding the genetic material. I don't have a clue how it happens, right? The butterfly is finding some genetic material, and then all of a sudden it starts to grow, starts to be born, and then it's inside this cocoon. Have you ever watched a butterfly be born? It breaks through the cocoon very gently and starts to spread its wings. And it's getting the blood all the way to all its wings. It stretches its fingers all out like this, and then it flies off. And that's the analogy for us. If you want to evolve as a person, develop as a person, upgrade as a person, your old self has to die. Because what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah.
That's
That
what
is
to do.
That
that
was
is so
unbelievable.
perfectly said. So perfectly said, man. I think you are the king of analogies, mate. That is just, and there's no better way to put it because it's like connecting the stars in my mind of everything you're saying. Because a lot of people just will say, you've got to kill the person you was, or you've got to grow from it. But when you put it into that type of context, it's just so easy and better for people to understand. And like you said, you hit the nail on the head, detaching from the outcome. That is so true because if you're solely focused on what you really want, you're forgetting what you need to do in the process to get there because you're so laser focused.
Yeah.
I mean, something that a lot of people focus on predominantly, James, you probably experienced the same, is first thing people want to know is money. Now, of course, that's okay because that's how a lot of people are wired. They're just constantly thinking about the money, the money, the money, what can be earned, what can be earned. And I always try and say to people, no, understand who you're going to become, focus on what you're going to actually do before the money, because you're not going to have earned that money. It's not just going to work, clocking in. This is you're clocking in on yourself. You're clocking into who Jake's going to be, who James is going to be, who Jordan's going to be, and then the money will come after. But so perfectly said, man. So perfectly said.
It's a great point. Just before I think James might pop in here, but just on that, people always talk about the money, but they don't realize, just to echo what you're saying. And you can say this, if you're watching this now, guys, based on exactly who you are, if you got 20 grand in your account right now, what are you doing with that 20 grand? Oof, big night out, get the bags in, going on a holiday, getting a new car, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not about earning the money because you're going to just fucking spend it like you're an employee anyway.
Mm,
So it's
yeah.
not about getting the money. Yeah, when am I making that first paycheck, bro? Well, yeah, when's the money coming in? Yeah. Well, all right. Well, the money can come in, but it'll fucking go straight out because you're not able to understand what to do with that money. Look at all the people that won the lottery. A lot of them, bless them, are scrotes, right? And what happens? 20 years down the line, they've pissed away 200 million on prostitutes, cars, jewelry, and drugs. Congratulations. You got the one thing that everyone's praying for, and you fucked it up, Darren, and you're back in your fucking council estate. Well done, mate. Now, you know what I mean? It's no disrespect. There's plenty of people that get out, right? But it's the graph. And I'll say this, right? I'm from Manchester, if you hadn't guessed, right? And a big musician from Manchester is a guy called H, right? He's a grime artist. I'm not really the grime guy, right? Look at me. I wouldn't last a minute in a grime scene. But I do like some of his songs because it's speaking about where he came from and who he is now. And he's not to forget, like, he has to go back. He's from a place called Moston in Manchester, which I'm sure he'll say this as well, is a shithole, right?
Yeah.
It's a shithole. Most of Manchester is a shithole, but some parts are like the bottom of the shit. You know, some of the top of the shit and some of the bottom of the shit. Now, obviously, not all of Moston is. Some people in there are lovely, but he got himself out of that situation. But he has to remind himself where he came from to just create that humble. Now, obviously, he's a millionaire now, so I don't know whether he goes back to his actual original home. Probably not. But the point is, like, people want money coming in so much, but the money could come in and it would go out. So it's about learning financial literacy. Do you understand about investments? Do you understand the power of credit, utilizing debt, rather than just whacking a holiday on your credit card for 3K for an all-inclusive in Greece, right? Yeah, let's go to Napa for a weekend with the lads. Yeah, spend a grand on that. 200 quid on a baggie, 300 quid on a high-class prostitute, 200 quid on a bottle of Grey Goose. Happy days, boys. But £77 for a training platform that can open you up to a business opportunity. Are you mad? Why can't it just be free? So it's all about the programming that we're living in. And so the people who are focused on the income, on the money, they don't understand that you could get 10 grand in your account now and you'd waste it in 6 months.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. And it's like it goes into like the people are like, well, how quick's it gonna take me to get to this? Or is it like because people see these things online and it's like people are promised instant results on like 5 grand a month or whatever it may be, which is just a load of bullshit. Or it may be, but like it's obviously something's going on behind the scenes. And people come in and obviously stay from the off, or individuals do come in and stay from the off. Well, oh, how quick's it going to get me to here, or how much am I going to earn in here? I just need to know for X, Y, and Z. And it's like, for me, when I first started, I was thinking, oh, I'm just going to start this online business and start earning money and go and leave the UK. And yeah, I started it, left the UK with savings and whatever, but I didn't understand how much personal growth I would have had to go through. So, and for me, yeah, it's maybe uncomfortable and it's maybe you've got to break through barriers, you've got to work on yourself even more. But I feel like that's what makes this business so beautiful is because you get to work on yourself every single day. And like everyone says in the business, when you hit a new rank, it's not the money you're going to be earning, it's the individual who you are, who you
Mm.
who you've decided to step, let me word that right. It's the individual you've decided to be to get yourself to that rank.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is so fucking powerful. But I know George, you've got a question there, so I'll let you dive into your question because we could speak forever on
Yeah. I'm sure we will anyway. So
that.
Jake, imposter syndrome and self-doubt. Even the most successful people experience it. How do you recognize it and push through without letting it hold you back?
I think a lot of it stems from confidence. And I want to actually say this as a premise before I share what I'm about to say. You might think, looking at me, those that don't know me, think, who's this guy? He's speaking derogatorily about different people. He's done this, he's done that. I grew up in Salford, right? Salford, Manchester. If you know that, it's not the nicest of places. And I had a blessed life. I went to a very good school. I'm blessed about that. But I was on a scholarship, I was on a bursary. And I've always been the underdog, always. And so if you would have said to me, I was shy to answer my name in the register. Now, in the last year, I've spoken on 4 different stages internationally to 250 people in the audience. So something had to change in order to become the person, as James said, to become the person who is this space. Yeah, the money's great. Money is great. But I would give all the money that I've earned in my business, I would now pay that to become the man I am today. But along the journey, the imposter syndrome comes in. Because what is the imposter syndrome? It's the person that's so focused on the outcome. I've not done this. I've not done that. The person that compares themselves to those that have already done it. He's done that. Oh, why would they work with me and why wouldn't they work with him? Well, I've not got that. Or I've not done this. And that comparison, rather than seeing it as like, wow, look at them, that's amazing. I get to become that of my own self. You start to compare results. Now, everyone's had different journeys. And so the imposter syndrome and self-doubt comes in because naturally you're growing. Naturally, you are stepping into this space. So confidence is actually, and I heard this is not mine, I heard someone say it, and I can't remember who it is. If the name comes to me, I'll just shout it out. Confidence is trusting in yourself. So if you don't feel confident, it means you don't trust yourself. And you know this by walking on a plank. If you don't trust yourself, and then go back to the self-talk, you've told yourself, I'm clumsy. I don't have good balance. And you live this narrative, you are going to fall. 100%. I know people that fall over walking on a pavement. They're not even on a balancing beam. They're tripping over nothing. Oh, I'm so clumsy. No, you're not. You're just living that narrative of you clumsy. Update the program. So imposter syndrome comes in because your identity is that you're not, and your ambition is that you want to be, and you're in this leap of faith of what if it doesn't work? What if I'm going to fall? I'm not this person. I don't speak on stage. I can't make a podcast. How much imposter syndrome did you guys have before starting this, right? Who's going to listen to us? Why should they do this? And it becomes this limiting factor. Because again, understand who we are. We've been conditioned and programmed to be in the box. So our self-doubt and our imposter syndrome comes from a space of lack of confidence, comes from a space of lack of trust in self, and comes from a space of we don't believe we're worthy. Now, the way to build confidence is to continuously be courageous in doing things that are uncomfortable. Because when you do something that you're scared to do, right? Let's go back to the classic. There's a monster under the bed. What's the one way to decide whether or not there is a monster under the bed?
Go and have a look.
Go and have a look. What's the scariest thing to do when you think there's a monster under the bed?
Getting off that bed.
Yeah, getting off the bed and having a look, right?
Yeah.
It's the scariest thing. And there's an amazing quote. And again, I've forgotten who this is by, but just Google this and you'll get it. I can't remember. I'm gutted because it's one of my favorite quotes. The cave you fear to enter has the treasure you seek the most.
Mm.
And that really is the embodiment. You're always going to have self-doubt because you're upgrading the program. The self that is doubting is not the self that achieves. So you're in the process of updating. It's about confidence and pushing through, building that trust with yourself, rewiring that system. And you'll notice a lot of it just comes down to who we are. So if you speak positively about yourself, and I don't mean sit on the couch going, I'm abundant, I'm love and light, right? That's going to do minimal, okay? But the action with the affirmation, the action with the gratitude, the action with the self-talk, the action with the upgrade, you consistently do that for 6 months, you'll start doing things that you've never done. You'll start becoming comfortable with the feeling of being uncomfortable. The uncomfortable feeling is still there. I get nerves when I'm about to walk on stage. I have a fear of what if I just vomit on the front row of the audience, right? It's the maddest thing. It's the maddest thing. I genuinely have it. But then I think to myself, realistically, that's not going to happen. Realistically, I'm going to be okay. This is my brain. And I've practiced my speech. I know what I'm doing. I've prepared. So if you're not feeling confident and the self-doubt comes in, maybe it's you've not actually prepared enough. And I'm sat here and I'm ready. And I know that I'm going to give my best. And that is enough.
Yeah.
Mate, that's fantastic. You know, on it, like the way you like say your like the way your vocab is and how you speak is just so clear and forward and fantastic. And obviously you're fucking hilarious because you give the you give the digs in there, which is great.
Yeah. It's
Um, go
I
on,
was just
Joe.
gonna say there, like speaking on speeches, like I've only ever given one speech in my life, and that was at my wedding, right? And that was 2 years ago now. And I remember for months and months and months I was practicing this speech, and no one thought I was going to do a speech because I think I was 24 at the time, and I was like, no, I need to do a speech. I need to do a speech. It's the only right thing to do. I'll do it. And for days and days and days beforehand, like the week leading up, I was panicking. I was really, really like, oh God, it's not going to work. You know, what if they can't hear me? What if I muddle up my words? And someone, I think it was my dad actually, who just turned around and said, son, you just got to throw yourself into these things. Just throw yourself at it. You'll be fine. I thought, yeah, well, that's just a very cliche thing to say,
Yeah.
Dad. Fuck, you know what I mean? Like, tell me it's going to be like, oh, it's going to be awful halfway through or something. Put me off it. Like, and I didn't, goodly enough. And I jumped up on and stood up, and something just worked inside me after like 30 seconds. And I thought, fucking hell, this is fine. I'm pissing this. They're all listening over there. This is great. He's dead interested. Don't even know who he is. Type thing on the front. I was fucking sat on the front table, and it just kind of once you kind of embody that person who you want to be, it's fine. You just got to throw yourself in first.
That's so good that. And you know what? I've always had this strong um drive to speak on a stage, but like for me, I am well, I've always had this belief of I'm so like afraid to do that. Like I'm so afraid to get up on that stage and speak in front of how many people it may be. But for some mad reason inside, I just really want to get up there and just like speak in front of so many people. And like I can't wait for that moment to actually occur for me to go, you've fucking put yourself under that belief for so many years. You've just killed it, and now you're up a fucking another level in life, which is amazing. So I just wanted to touch on that. Um,
Well, set yourself in that moment, right? Just for both of you, set yourself something. You're speaking. Okay, maybe the stage isn't, you're sat in a comfortable space, you're in your own wherever you are, but this is a stage of some sort.
Yeah.
You're speaking. Every time you speak on your stories, you're speaking to people. Every time now, eventually that becomes real, you know? Get yourself in a group, do a demo of some sort, and speak to people. Get 10 people. Get your mates to come over or whatever. If they're going to judge you, then maybe not them. But get a bit of a group. Next time you're at a community event, just jump on stage for 30 seconds. I'd like to just jump on and share some gratitude. And this is something that I'm visualizing, and so I'm doing this now. And you'll get a raucous of an applause.
that's
I
great.
think I think you might have seen as well. We've seen maybe little snippets of you, Jake, speaking on stage, or a picture of you speaking on stage, and to like be that person, it's so powerful. And I'm similar. Me and James are very, very similar people in our own unique ways. But being able to one day stand on a stage in the very near future and talk about this business is something I would both of us would love to do. Because I think it's you give yourself that privilege of being that person, and you give yourself that gratitude. It's very, very powerful. But James, I'm gonna let you answer you'll do your next question. Sorry, Paul.
Mhm. This question ties into like kind of what we've just been saying then. Um, so then, Jake, how would you rewire your mindset for success? What are the key daily habits and mental shifts that help you stay consistent and level up in your business?
So I've touched on a lot of them. I've touched on a few different things, but the 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 real focus is consistency. And the real way in which you be consistent is by action. Now, you'll get a lot of people that say to themselves, I'm going to do personal development, I'm going to do growing in this way, I'm going to be doing this. It's got to be achievable. And when I was in education, there was something called SMART goals. And I'm probably going to get this wrong actually, because it's been so long since I've done it. I might even actually just Google to make sure I get this right. So I think SMART was like an acronym. So each letter stood for something else, right? So it was like small, measurable, attainable, relatable, and time-based. I think that's right. If anyone's watching and I've got it wrong, drop a comment and let me know if I've got it wrong. And you can correct me on it and you can get that little bit of feeling good about yourself because you've corrected me on it. The small goals is where you grow because so many people, and it's like the analogy. I'm a runner, yeah, I love to run. How does a person win a marathon? Well, they run it the fastest. Okay. But how do they run a marathon? Well, they get their train. No, how do they run a marathon? They put their left foot in front of their right foot. Then they put their right foot in front of their left foot. And when you break it down, it's actually just consistent step one by one. And so the small daily habits, you can read a personal development book every month. You can listen to the most amazing podcasts and you can have this wealth of knowledge and you can be the expert on a topic. But until you actually put your fucking hand in the dirt and do the work on yourself and implement it, you're going to do nothing. And in a similar fashion to Jordan's dad, when he said, you've just got to go in there and do it, lad. You can have someone that's read every single swimming book. They know every single stroke. They know breaststroke, front crawl, back crawl, butterfly. They know the angles that you're meant to be doing. They know the depth, the temperature of the water, how much chlorine, how the chemicals, how to keep it. They know all the different life-saving techniques. But if they've never jumped in a pool, they can't swim. And the only way you know if you could actually implement all of that knowledge is to jump in. And so many people stand on the edge of the swimming pool, barking orders, thinking that they're the one. So the self-development habits is the actions that start from the desire. So it starts with reading, not listening to a podcast. Now, again, if you've got kids and you've got no time and it's a difficult one, but the skill of reading, 10 pages a day, forcing your brain to take in education and information in one dimensional narrative. We live in a TikTok world, an Instagram world, where you've got audio, you've got visuals, you've got animations, you've got sound effects, you've got all of these amazing things done by professional people because our attention span is pathetic. You try read a book now, it's boring as fuck. The letters are the same, it's small, you've got to actually turn the page, you've got to move your eyes and read it, you've got to take in this information, no one's narrating it, you can't be doing a walk or hitting the gym while you've got barrage in your ear, you've got to sit and read it. So 10 pages reading. Gratitude. An attitude of gratitude is something that creates more things to be grateful for. And that might be a bit woo-woo, but you trust me, your brain, psychologically speaking here, and if you don't believe me, I've got a psychology degree, right? There's something called the reticular activating system, a part of the brain that will acknowledge things around you. The greatest example, you or your parents get a new car, you see that car everywhere.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
do. Someone just got the new Tesla. You see them everywhere. Not if you're driving around Salford, you don't. But generally, right? If you're looking around, you see them and whatever. And that is your. They were always there. They were always there. So what's happening now is your brain is now aware of these things and is able to bring them into the conscious. because we only experience 5%, I think, of the conscious mind. The rest goes into the subconscious. So we're actually seeing information all around, every single color, every face, every name, every shot, but the brain just filters it out because it goes not relevant, not part of our program, back into the subconscious. But what we can do is the more things we're conscious of, where focus goes, where energy goes, oh my God, 1 second. Where your focus goes, energy flows. So where you're focused, if you're focusing on all the things that you're not doing enough, you're going to experience all the things you're not doing enough and create more things that you're not doing enough. And the list is endless because we could always do more. So when you create the attitude of gratitude, you focus on things that are going to be happening more. So read 10 pages, attitude of gratitude, and do one thing every week that makes you feel uncomfortable. Look under the bed for the monsters 1 time a week, because you'll start to realize that there's no monsters. They only just live in here. It's all in your mind. And actually, there's some cool things under the bed. There's an old toy that you didn't know that you loved playing with. There's actually a book that you'd love to read, and it's got stuck under there, and you'll start to discover your own self. And the habits that you can create is things that are going to better you. So that's where we can grow.
Unbelievable, man. There's some very, very good golden nuggets for people listening to this and what Jake's saying, and take all this in as best you can. What Jake's been through and experienced, and as you said there, he's got a psychology degree, so no one can call him a bullshitter. So just please have that in the back of your mind. But perfect, absolutely perfect. I'm gonna jump to a question now, Jake, that I think resonates with you as a person, and I think it's something that not many people would focus on as they're stepping into this type of business, and they wouldn't even think about it in the slightest. But we see what you do, and we see how powerful it is in your life. So the role of holistic health in business success. How does physical health, nutrition, and overall well-being impact your mindset and your ability to perform at the highest level?
Yeah. It's a beautiful topic, and it's one that we could sit here and discuss for hours. And of course, I'm going to start this answer with an analogy, right? What phone have you guys got, just out of curiosity?
iPhone 13.
iPhone 13. I've got sadly, I think it's the 14 or something similar, right? It's got a great camera. It's got great storage. It's got loads of apps, loads of fun games. It's got loads of different features on it, right? But what's the most important feature of the phone?
That's an hard one.
At the minute, Instagram. But
Okay. Okay. What do you think, James?
That's the most app I click on, so probably that.
Not app. What's the most important feature of the
Oh,
phone?
sorry. Okay. The screen.
Jordan says camera. You say
the screen to see what you're
screen.
doing.
Now you're both not wrong. I don't want to say you're wrong, but when I say this, you're gonna go fucking hell yeah. It's the battery.
Fuck.
Yeah,
The battery.
of course.
Yeah.
Because if there's no battery, doesn't matter how many apps you've got, doesn't matter how good the screen is, how good the camera is. If the battery's dead, the phone is useless. Same with a car. You can have all the MOTs, the gas in the, the petrol in, it's about to be American then, the petrol in the tank, you've got all the air in the tires, everything's working, but your battery's dead. Car's useless, won't start. So that's where you have to understand the health is your battery, it's your energy, it's your life force. So people say to me all the time, because we work in holistic health, we work with an amazing product in the water space, in the EMF radiation block space, and in the anti-inflammatory. So we're here to make people healthier, and in doing so, they become wealthier by utilizing the business opportunity. I'm drinking water right here, right? This is hydrogen-rich, electrolyzed, reduced water. This water, people go, oh, tap water doesn't kill you. And I'm like, yeah, do you know what? You're right. It won't kill you right now. It's not poison that you drink and you burn it and then you're dead, right? But if I took just a small drop of bleach and put it in your drink and you saw me do it, would you drink it? Probably not. You'd probably tip it out and get another tap water, right? Tap water doesn't kill you. You're right. And you'd say if I poured some water on a rock, you'd go, what are you doing? And I'm trying to make a hole. And you go, Water can't make a hole in a rock. And you go, yeah, you're probably right. But if I consistently drop water onto a rock for the next 50 years, you come back 50 years, there's a hole. For all the geography fans here, it's called erosion. And what that is it's compounded action over time. So yeah, the water won't kill you, but the small exposure that's seemingly harmless in this amount, when you compound it over time, it's actually damaging. And it's happening on a cellular level. And we come from this world where we think in the extremes. Health is everything. And our bodies are molecules and cells happening, right? Do you remember from school, the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell? You all remember, right? Maybe you don't remember that, right? But I love biology. That was your 2 mark answer in your GCSE, powerhouse of the cell, right? Covalent bonds, shared electrons, yeah? All of these things that we learn about, we don't apply to ourselves. And if you're a joiner or you're an electrician, you know the basic understandings, right? James, you're helping tradesmen. I know that's one of your
Yeah,
big
yeah.
things. If you're a plumber and you say, "Oh yeah, but just it doesn't matter if it's not so loose. It's all right. It'll get through." Oh, there's a little leak. It's just one drop. It's just one drop, mate. It's not a fucking waterfall, bro. Doesn't that one drop's going to cause loads of damage, right? So you got to make sure there's no leaks. But when it comes to our health, oh, it's just the Mackies, it's just chicken, it's only seed oils. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All of these things are impacting our cellular health. And the body heals, right? You know when you get a cut and it heals? No one knows how it happens. It just happens, right? The cells, the body creates new skin cells to cover and scab, and then there's a scab cell, then there's more skin cells, and it grows, and then you have a scar, and we just take it for granted. And you can have £1 million in the bank, £1 billion in the bank. If you said to someone, would you rather be, ah, here's the question. And you might have seen this before, and I've stolen this from a reel, so I'm going to just say it. How would you feel if I gave you guys £10 million right now?
You'd feel like I'd feel delighted.
Yeah? What about you, George?
Oh, I'll be over the moon. Yeah,
Yeah.
be over the moon.
Would you take it in a heartbeat?
I think I think because of how we're engineered and wired over years, you would take it. I think
Yeah.
if someone handed it, you would take it. Yeah.
Take it. If someone offered you 10 million, you take it. But there's a catch. You don't wake up tomorrow. Would you take it still?
No, you wouldn't take it, would you?
No. Go 1 million, go 100 million, go a billion. Maybe if you're talking 300 billion, you might sacrifice for yourself and your family or whatever. There you get into the big philosophical moments, right? But the concept is tomorrow is worth 10 million.
Yeah.
And so people don't understand that their health is everything. When you've seen a person die, they don't, and they're on their deathbed, they're not talking about, or their body is aging, their body is losing energy, and they just go. It's the strangest thing. And our health we take for granted. We think there's always going to be tomorrow, there's always going to be this. Hundreds of thousands of people every single day around the world didn't wake up today. And the things that happen, like I've got an EMF radiation blocker next to me because I'm being compounded with Wi-Fi. I'm being compounded with Bluetooth and signals and all these things, and it's frying my brain. You wouldn't put your head in a microwave, would you? Why not? Because you know it's going to fuck shit up. But what if there's a small microwave just constantly when we're on our phones and we're listening and we put it's a microwave to our ear. Then you've got water. Tap water's not killing you. Yeah, you're right. But you drink tap water for the next 50 years, you're going to be taking in a lot of chlorine, a lot of heavy metals, a lot of fluoride, all the different elements. So I'm passionate about health because I fucking love life. And I want to get to 80, 90 years old and I want to be agile. I want to have movement, right? I want to be able to pick up my own kids. How many dads do you see picking up like, fuck me back. Oh, take the kid. Oh, fucking hell. Right? It's ridiculous. My dad's the same, bless him. If he ever watches this, I'm sorry, Dad, but he's 64. He's trying to lose weight. And how's he losing weight? Ozempic, fucking weight loss injection. You knobhead, Dad. I've told him this to his face, right? Stop eating your Armstrongs and your KFC on your way back. Armstrong's famous chippy in Manchester. Stop eating your chippy on the way back. Stop eating your shit. Stop having Melba toast and butter for breakfast and actually look at nutrition. Look at the body operates. It's science. It's simple, right? There's chemicals, there's nutrients, and there's minerals, and we need them to survive. If you're not giving your body what it needs, eventually it's going to be deficient. If you stop putting water in your car, eventually the signal light's going to come on. Eventually, it's going to impact the engine pistols. Eventually, the fucking thing's going to blow. If you don't put enough oil, if you don't put enough air, eventually all these lights are going to come on. And that's what happens. We get sick, we get headaches. You're not meant to have a headache. The headache is your body saying, I'm dehydrated. There's too much pressure in my skull. So my brain is expanding because I'm dehydrated and it's pressurizing my head. I've got a headache. Don't worry about it. Take a paracetamol. What does a paracetamol do? No one even knows it. Oh, it kills the pain. Doesn't kill the pain. It stops the brain sensing the pain. The pain is still there.
Wow.
Pain is a marker for the body to say, wait a minute, this is not right. Now imagine if you put your hand on top of a fire, what are you going to do? Fucking hell, that's hot. Because the pain receptors go, ooh, danger, danger, bam, reflex reaction. You kill the pain, you can put your hand in the fire all want because you're a big, strong man and you don't feel pain, right? But your hand's burning, you knobhead.
Yeah.
So yeah, you might not feel pain, but your hand's on fire. And this is what's happening on a cellular level. So people, I love holistic health and it creates success in a business because if you don't have energy, you don't have anything. If your battery's dead, you don't have anything. So the energy comes from your nutrients, from your minerals, from your hydration, from your electrolytes. We've all seen the Lucozade advert. Replace the electrolytes, you lose in sweat, right? Okay. But you don't only just sweat from hitting the football. It's not a Lucozade after a five-a-side. It's the minerals that you need. And if you're not getting them in your diet, if you're not getting them in your, eventually your body's going to give out. And so if you want to be successful, how long do you want to be successful for? Do you want to be successful for 2 years, 3 years? But then you're having a heart attack. Then you're having different moments. You've got a blood clot. You've got this. You've got gout. You've got backache. You've got inflammation. You can't pick up your own kids. That's not success. 6 figures every year, but you can't pick up your own children. That's not success. And it requires a whole rewiring of the brain. So, holistic health is an understanding of you need to be healthy on a cellular level. And in order to create success, longevity, you want to be a millionaire, right? By the time you're 50, you want to be, give your kids a legacy. You want to create a will so that your kids can actually have money. You want to be successful. You need to get to 70. You need to get to 80. Do you want to be that parent who doesn't make it past 50 because of a health crisis they could have stopped when they were 30? This is the questions. This is the impact of health. So your health today is as a result of the actions you've taken up until now. So your health when you're 50 is about the actions you take today, and it's going to build up to 50. If you want to wait till the warning lights come on, and then you need to take it to the mechanic and he goes, fucking hell, when was the last time you changed this? Your car's fucked, mate. That's what the medical system is. You wait until you have the heart attack at 55. You wait until you have the fucking stroke. You wait until you break a leg and you're in a cast. You wait until you seize your back, slip a disc, you have a hernia. Why? You fucking wait for that. And then you realize how difficult it is to actually recover from it. And you're on pain medication and you're trapped into the societal system. Or you can prevent all of that by actually taking an insight and a passion into what your health is. And the healthier you are, the more successful you can be because you've got more energy, you've got more life force, and you've got more passion, more battery in the tank to be able to do more stuff. So yes, holistic health is very important to business success.
Get in. That
Love
was
it. Love
fucking
it.
great. You know what? I couldn't have said it any better. And like what when you're speaking about all that there, Jake, I think about me dad right now, who is basically been on the tools since again 16 years of age. He's now 54, so do the maths there. I don't know how many years that is. And never wore a knee pad in his life, never wore
Mm.
ear defenders in his life. He's never all the stuff that like you would need to take precaution with when you are actually physically working in a building site. And like my audience is like construction workers, like people who are in the trades, and like I've always been from a young age so massively um honed in on my health, and I'd always wear knee pads, always wear ear defenders, and I'd get stick. I'd get, oh, what the fuck are you? What have you got them fucking knee pads or them ear defenders on? And I'm like, well, look at you right now. Your ears ring of a night. Your knees are fucked. Your back's fucked. You can't do nothing. So like, where's like the yeah, where's all that coming from there? So basically, when you were saying all that, then it's like people don't physically understand what they're doing to themselves until it's all well and good and it's done, and you've got to go to get your hernia out or you've got to get a new knee, and it's like, oh fuck, and then they still go to work with no knee pads in with the new knee, and it's like, wow, what is going on here? I think it's just like a lack of education or ignorance to the fact that um I don't know, you can be better, you can look after yourself. Do you know what I mean by that? Um,
A
so
lot
that
of it is a lot of it is that ignorance. You know, change is scary and people don't want to change. So it's easier just to sit and wallow in your own self shit than to actually make a difference and change who you are. And some people just take the easy path. And I don't mean that in an insulting way. You know, bless your dad, he didn't know, right? So it's not his fault. But then for those that are, you know, are you open to learning about how you can actually be healthier and wealthier? No, I'm not. Okay, but then don't fucking complain about not being healthy and not being wealthy. And this is the situation. A lot of people are just would rather be closed-minded than be open to things because it's easier. Because if you're open to it, then maybe you have to change and maybe you have to admit that the way you've been doing stuff isn't always the best. And that's scary. And a lot of people don't want to look under the bed and see the monsters. So they'd rather just sit in the bed shitting themselves, waiting for the sun to rise.
Oh man, what a conversation it's been, brother. Like honestly, thank you so much for jumping on. We've laughed our heads off. We've shared some amazing golden nuggets. Well, you shared some absolute amazing golden nuggets. And I feel like the analogies make you understand, especially for myself, like they make you understand things on such a simple, deep level, if that makes sense. And like I've took so many golden nuggets myself to take back into my own life. Like this is not just like we're spreading it for the others. Like we're all coming together, and I've wrote notes down myself to actually work on stuff in myself and to like take inspiration too. Um, but brother, all I'm gonna say is thank you so much. Jordan's probably gonna close us off now, and obviously like he's gonna resonate too. But brother, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So welcome.
Yeah, I echo everything that Jay said there. Jake, honestly, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure to have you on. And the things that you've said there for people listening, yeah, Jake might be talking about things that you wouldn't really want to admit or talk about. And we need more people like Jake in our lives, in our communities, in our societies to really understand what you want and what you need from life. Because this man is, look what he's been through from a younger lad, smoking weed. I know we all experimented back in the day, but he's come from a state of that mind and he's built himself up to where he is now, which is massive credit to you, Jake, for building that life to where you are. And you've also met a life partner through the business in Lauren as well. So congratulations there. So that's a wrap on episode 4 of the High Ticket Legacy podcast. A massive thank you for Jake for coming on and sharing such powerful insights, not just on building success in a high ticket business, but also, as we just heard there, the importance of holistic health and well-being in the journey to success. So many golden nuggets in this conversation. If you've got value from this episode, let us know your biggest takeaways in the comment section and let us know in our Telegram chat, which I'm sure many of you have got access to. Don't forget to show Jake some love on dropping some serious wisdom. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and never miss an episode. We've got more incredible guests lined up. Until next time, thank you very much, guys. Keep pushing forward.
I've got one last thing, and I'm just going to interrupt that end and closing phase right there.
Go for it.
Like, 'cause I just wanted to ask, but Jay, if you was to like everything that we've just spoke about, if you was to just close on something in particular that you just literally just it might spring to your mind now, what is that one thing that you'd close on to spread value around to any individual?
I'm gonna jump off the back of something that I said earlier, and it really is the video that changed my life. Everyone needs to go onto YouTube, watch the Les Brown bamboo tree video. It's 6 minutes. And if you watch that 6 minutes and it does nothing for you, I can't help you. Jordan can't help you. James can't help you. And you can't help yourself. But if that video speaks to you and makes you realize that you are a bamboo tree and you can create something so much more, and you want to water yourself, water that dream, nurture that dream, you can do that. And with the right guidance, with the right vehicle, with the right structure, with the right community, wealth doesn't take decades to build like you were told in school. Wealth can be built with the right vehicle in just a couple of years. And the person you become along the way to earning that wealth is a person that you will want to be for yourself, for your children, for your partner, for your family, and for your future self to look back and say, thank you, because I am now who I wanted to be and I'm able to be because of past self made a difficult decision to let go of the bullshit and focus on me and plant your own bamboo tree.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Respect, brother. Thank you so
Brilliant.
much.
Thank you very much, Pete.
See you
Of course.
soon. Thank
Thank
you.
you.